It's time for all of us to go on the high road and take a break from the cultural chaos in your lives. I'm your host, Drake Travis, and here's the better-looking hostess, my buttercup, Serena Travis.
Well, thank you for that lovely intro, and my nickname, my Schmooky Poo. If you're a fan of Christian music, you're going to love our guest today. Tammy Trent is in the house. She also has a book out where she talks about a tragedy that she had to live through. Drake, baby cakes, what are you doing in Cut the Nonsense?
Well, my butterball of hotness, I'm asking the question, where are all the role models?
Well, on Global Connection, we will be finding out about the most charitable nation.
Well, it looks like we have a lot of questions to be answered, but first, let's have some laughs on the lighter side. A husband went to the sheriff's department because he couldn't find his wife. He arrives. "My wife is missing. She went shopping yesterday and has not come home." Sergeant says, "What is her height?" Gee, I'm not sure. A little over 5 feet tall. Wait. Not too fat. Eye color. I never really noticed. Color of hair. Maybe dark brown now? I can't remember. What was she wearing? Shorts or a skirt? Maybe, I don't know. What kind of car did she go in? She went in my truck. What kind of a truck was it? It was a 2016 Ford F-150 King Ranch 4x4 with EcoBoost 5.0 liter V8 engine, special order with overhead cam, super Hemi and manual tranny, and climate-controlled AC. It has a custom matching white cover for the bed with color-coded market bed liner, two-tone harvest paint job, running boards, custom leather 6-way seats, DVD, full GPS system, chrome grill and bumpers, Ally Sport wheels. Sergeant cuts in. Don't worry, buddy. We'll find your truck. Let's go talk to Tammy.
All right, music lovers, you're gonna love our guest today. She became a familiar voice on Christian radio stations all over the country with hits like Welcome Home and Run to the Cross. She has an amazing testimony we all need to hear. Please welcome to the high road, Tammy Trent.
Hey, girl.
Hey there, you are looking just so sweet.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This is so great. Well, you do have a powerful testimony. I know you've shared it all over the world, but can you share it again for our viewers today?
Yeah, I mean, how do you tell this unbelievable love story that walked into your life at the age of 15, you know, and sort of wrapped up in a few minutes? But it's one of those journeys that I've traveled that, you know, I was a girl that never thought I had a testimony. Met this kid in my youth group when I was 15 years old, fell crazy in love, dated for 7.5 years, went off to Bible college, came back and realized, like, I cannot live another day without this guy. We need to get married. And so married my best friend in the same church where we had met 7.5 years prior. And, you know, it was the greatest adventure of my life, feeling that everything I experienced in my dating relationship now just overflowed into our marriage. And I was very blessed. I knew love well. I knew commitment. I knew faithfulness. I was a woman that was cherished every day because of the way my husband loved me and covered me and surrounded me with great adventure. We were married for 11 amazing years, and during that season, I signed a record deal, and we began to travel the world together in ministry full-time. And, man, we were just doing what we love to do, loving people, serving God. And, you know, I just felt like it can't get any better than this. And I remember getting a call sort of at the end of that season, just feeling like, you know, like God is up to something. I don't know if you ever get in those places where you just sort of feel like God's up to something. I don't know what it is, but I feel something. I feel something.
Change is coming. Yeah, change is coming.
And, you know, and I didn't know if it was another album, if it was coming off the road, if it was starting a family. I didn't really know, but I just kind of sensed something like a new season. And we went on a mission trip to Jamaica, and I knew this season was, I was in the middle of it. I knew that this time was pivotal. And we had an incredible time vacationing on one side of the island before we were to begin a mission trip on the other side of the island. We headed to this place called the Blue Lagoon. We had lunch there on the edge of the water, and my husband wanted to go on a free diving expedition in the Blue Lagoon. He suited up. He said, "I'll be gone for 15 minutes, and when I get back, we'll go hang out and do something you want to do." And I remember standing on the edge of the water, waving goodbye to him as he sunk beneath the surface, and he was gone. And I knew I'd have to see him maybe in.
And this was something you'd seen him do before?
Oh, always,
Yeah,
always.
okay.
He'd been a certified scuba diver since the age of 12.
Oh my goodness, okay,
Yeah.
so this is nothing new.
This was normal. This
Okay.
was a normal day for us, completely. And I waited on the edge of the water for 15 minutes, and 15 turned into 30, into 45, and into an hour. And I remember standing up, getting close to the other edge of the water, just thinking, something's wrong. I knew something had shifted. I knew something had changed. That wasn't like him not to come back when he said he would after 15 minutes. And I remember at that moment, I just began shock. I felt numb. I felt hopeless. And it was at that time I called in a dive team that began to search for him. And they had to call the search off after 3 hours. It got too late, got too dark. I remember the next morning waking up to a home of two perfect strangers, two doctors that wanted to watch out for me through the night. And the next morning, the doctor said, come into this room, I want to show you the television. And I walked into that room the morning of September 11th, 2001, staring at the television as the second plane plowed into the Twin Towers. And I thought for the first time in my life at that moment, I just thought that this is the end of the world. Like, none of this made sense to me.
No, I mean, it all came crashing on you at one moment.
Yeah,
almost.
like our world, America was falling apart. My
Yeah.
world was falling apart. And I just thought, God, where are you in all of this? And what does this mean? And then I got the call that my family was grounded on planes all across the country. Not one person could get to me. And then I got the second call.
You were stranded.
Yes.
You were alone.
I was alone. I felt very much alone.
Oh, boy.
And I got another call, the second call, that they'd recovered the body of Trent in the Blue Lagoon. And he didn't make it. He didn't survive. And, you know, my whole world changed. My whole world shifted. We talked about that a minute ago, just like I knew there was a season about to change. And what does that look like, God? And here I'm standing on the edge of the water going, I don't want this season. I don't want this change, God. And I knew that everything was about to shift. Everything was about to change. And I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. And it was at that time, too, that I realized that I've got some choices to make right now. Either you believe everything you've ever been taught about the Word of God, you believe everything God has ever spoken to in your life, or you don't. And I think at that moment I just said, God, I don't understand any of it. I don't get it. I feel numb, but I know you love me. And it was in those choices, Serena, that healing began in my life. And it has been 15 years back to healing for me in this journey that I've traveled. I'm learning to give my pain purpose. I'm learning to trust God when nothing makes sense. I'm learning to see things the way God sees them rather than the way I see them. Yeah. But I'm here with you at this moment telling you that I have felt the healing touch of God in my life. And I am stronger than I've ever been before. I'm singing more, I'm writing more, and I feel alive. I feel alive even still in my brokenness. I feel alive. God's done a great thing.
All I can just see is that there is this incredible vortex that you went through. There was this huge storm of your life. And in the swirling of that chaos, you knew that there was one thing that you could hold on to. There was only one thing. And you did. You held on to that with all your might. That is so powerful.
Hope.
Hope, yes. It's so incredible.
Absolutely.
Hang on a second. We're going to be right back with more from Tammy Trent right after this commercial break and a Cut the Nonsense that has Drake asking, where are the role models? We'll be right back.
It has been great having Tammy Trent, and what an amazing story she has to tell. You know, it's music stars like Tammy Trent that I wish to become a greater influence on the young people of this country than the Miley Cyruses or Kim Kardashians of this world. My question for this edition of Cut the Nonsense is, where are the positive role models? Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, come on, Drake. There have been bad influences throughout the history of entertainment, and I agree. And being the father of 10, I know that all too well. So let's take a quick trip down memory lane of bad influences. In the 50s, parents were warning their kids against Elvis. In the 60s, it was the Beatles. In the 70s, there was Ozzy Osbourne. In the 80s, it was Madonna. And there were bad role models in the 90s and the 2000s. I know. But today's bad role models have a much bigger weapon against our kids than the bad role models of yesteryear. Social media gets the filth that Miley Cyrus and Kim Kardashian are pumping out to your kids more quickly. Along with that filth comes a big dose of narcissism. All you have to do is spend moments on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to realize this generation is unnervingly self-obsessed. Now, a substantial number of studies have shown us that humans learn through modeling others. As these experiences accumulate through adolescence, teens decide what is socially acceptable and what is not. And too many youth are growing up with a judgment grid that is askew. We as parents need to teach our young'uns about positive role models when they are much younger than teens. Here are some of the ways to accomplish this. Teach children that failure is necessary for success. You're not going to bat 1,000. Dust off, stand up, try again. Help young people to know the difference between good grades and internal strengths. 3, talk with youth about inspirational heroes. Heroes from movies and books, heroes from the Bible. Heroes show children how to overcome a variety of life challenges and encourage a growth mindset from an early age. Now let's return to my original question. Where are the positive role models? The answer? They're out there. Just seek and you will find. Tammy Trent is a good example. I got to spend some time at the Super Bowl with a privileged pass as well as my ticket. I spent hours with numerous world-renowned athletes that I'd love to see more kids emulate. But the main positive role model for your kids stares right back you every time you look in the mirror. You can be the best role model for your kids. Encourage them to get off their phone, shut the computer, turn off the TV, and you need to make time to spend time with your kids and show them what a real hero is. You may think yourself, oh, I'm just a hot air balloon. Stop it. You give guidance and you give mentoring, you give it a real shot, and you are a lifesaver to them. There's an evil force trying to take your kid's mind, and you have the power to stop it. So will you join me in telling Miley, Kim, Kanye, and Nicki Minaj to take a hike? Let's be the solution, and let's cut this nonsense.
My husband Drake has joined me as we continue talking with singer, songwriter, and author Tammy Trent. So, Tammy, we left on this note where we were talking about hope.
Yeah.
Hope, holding on to hope.
Yep.
So, what do you do? Do you do that with music? Do you do that with prayer? What do you do?
I mean, I think for me, hope is the anchor of my life. So it surrounds everything that I do. Whether I'm walking into a studio, writing a new song, whether I'm sitting down to write a new book, or whether I'm hanging out with my friends at the gym. I mean, hope just surrounds me. It's something I have to live and breathe and choose. I mean, I think we all have a free will. God gives us a beautiful free will. And it's just, there's a whole bunch of choices laid out before us. So we can choose to live in peace. We can choose healing for our life. We can choose hope, or we can choose the opposites of those things. So for me, it's a daily choice that I choose to believe. The things that are unknown, that I don't see, I choose to believe that God has a hope and a future for my life. And so I walk in it and I live it, and I just have to breathe it every day and hope that that overflows into everything that I do, and somebody picks up a little bit of that and says, you know what, I feel hopeless, but look at what I just got from her life, her story, her testimony. I want to take that with me, and I want that to inspire my life too.
When you have an open day, how do you encourage yourself? Pick up a guitar, open the keyboard, call a friend. What's your first compulsion?
When I have an open day?
An open day.
Oh, man, that's a big question, Drake. When I have an open day, you know, my favorite thing to do is to get on a plane, fly someplace adventurous, my favorite city, New York City.
Ooh, fun.
Grab my sister, my best friend, and just say, let's make it a girls' weekend. Those are my favorite times. Like pouring into each other's lives, speaking into each other's life. I surround myself with people that will celebrate me, that look for great things in my life, that speak life into my spirit. I love my Christian girlfriends because, you know, we sort of walk the same walk, and they encourage me and we sharpen each other. So those are a few of my favorite things to do. Grab those kind of girls and take a girls' trip and just live life full in the way God intended it for my life. I could choose to shut my front door, which, you know, it would be easier for me on this journey I've traveled, and just say, I'm done. You know, the brokenness is too much. The pain is too much. I don't have the answers I want to have from God, and I'm just done. I feel numb. So many of us are in those places in our lives where we just feel numb. But if there's one thing I've learned, is that I can never interpret my numbness as God's absence in my life.
That's a good word.
There's
That's
never a
good.
time when
Yeah.
Jesus
Good
is not
word,
speaking.
good word.
Right? There's never a time when he's not present in our lives. So I have to press in and lean into those things. And when I do, I find a real God that is healing a real girl.
Do you feel God has taken you places you never thought you would go?
Oh, gosh, absolutely. Because I never thought I would have this kind of testimony. I was a girl growing up in a youth group that never thought I had a testimony. And there I was 15 years ago standing on the edge of the water being handed like the toughest testimony I could have ever imagined. I never saw my life in this place.
Yeah, and I'm sure you look back and if you talk to a young girl now and she says, well, I don't feel like I have a testimony, say, yes, you do. Don't pray for a testimony that you want to be able to say, I have a testimony.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But at the same time, I can see the hand of God in it. You know, God has brought me from brokenness into healing. His intention is to never leave us in a place where we're broken. His intention is to always move us to a place of healing, always move us to a place of wholeness.
Do you feel like, though, healing is more of a process than a destination? I mean, is this an ongoing journey?
Completely. It's a process for me every day in choosing that. I am healed. God has healed me. He's done great things. But I still go through different things in my life that kind of, it came out of nowhere. And then I got to process through that and heal that. I think ultimate healing comes when I will see Jesus face to face. Ultimate healing in my life will come then.
Sure.
We live in a broken world. Life happens, stuff happens. But we also live in a world where God is real. He restores, He heals, He redeems, He rescues. And if you believe those things, you've got to believe that whatever your circumstances is at this moment, might not be well with your circumstances, but it can be well with your soul, because that anchor, that hope that we talked about, it steadies your world. The rug can be pulled from underneath you, but if you've got a hope and a foundation in Jesus Christ, that will steady your world no matter what happens.
You sound like you live in Psalm 103. He restores you, He redeems your life, He crowns you with that.
Yes.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm so glad you didn't quit. Oh my goodness, you know.
Man, I've wanted to, Drake.
I know, but I'm so glad you did.
And what do you say to
you're
women
living.
who do want to quit? Like they say, I'm shutting the door. I'm giving up. I'm done.
Oh, I understand it, you know.
Yeah.
I get that. But you just can't. You know, you can't let the devil win. And I think that, you know, man, it'd be a great day for him, I think, if we all just shut the door and say we quit, because sometimes it would be easier. But I think the greater mystery for me was trying to find the hand of God in all of it and wanting to do something with my story. And, you know, to know that I've helped somebody along the way, that I've been comforted to comfort somebody else, it makes it worth it. You know, I don't think I'll fully be able to say that with a full, truthful heart until I see Jesus, but there are moments where I feel like it's worth it.
Before we're out of time and it's close, what sort of feedback from people, read your books, hear your music, what sort of feedback encourages you the most?
Oh my goodness, just to know that maybe I've helped give them a purpose not to want to give up, to fight through their own circumstances, whether it's divorce, broken marriage, health, whatever, just to know that we're sharpening each other, we're helping each other along the way. We all have a story. This is just mine. When I get on a platform at a women's conference, if I can speak into the heart of a woman that feels dead inside and tell her you can't give up, you got to keep fighting, fight for your spiritual life. You've been equipped, you're full armor, you've got it, you can do this. And to know and to hear that she's made choices because of maybe the choices I've made, then well done. I'm blessed.
That is incredible. Well, thank you, Tammy. It has been such a treat having Tammy Trent here on the show today. We just want to encourage you to go out and buy her new album, Sunny Days, in stores now. Or if you're with the times, go and download it. Also, look for her book, Learning to Breathe Again. Up next, Global Connection right after this.
I'm Melissa Nunnally, and this is Global Connection, where we solve the world's problems in 3 minutes or less. Today's topic, charity around the world. According to the 2015 World Index report, the country of Myanmar is the most generous country in the world, followed by the United States and then New Zealand. Now, these results are based on the percentage of people in each country who donate money, who volunteer, and who help out people they don't know. Let's discuss this. Maxwell, according to these results, what do you think is one of the contributing factors to generosity?
Well, the people of Myanmar are very devout Buddhists, and generosity and giving is ingrained in their culture. They believe that what they do in this life will affect them in their next life. So they are often giving their money and time to the monks and upkeep of the temples.
That's very interesting. And you know, here in the U.S., we have a very strong Judeo-Christian heritage. And so we believe we are the hands and feet of Christ as we go out and help people. You know, we are really good at responding to national disasters and disasters around the world, actually. And I know Samaritan Ministries is one of those organizations that does that.
Yeah, we have a lot of great organizations that the United States is involved in helping around the world when there's natural disasters. Now, what's interesting about this report is it seems like the wealth of the country doesn't necessarily translate into generosity, because out of the G20 countries, there's only 5 that are in the top 20 most generous countries. That's surprising.
It really is.
Yeah.
The political climate does have an effect on the country. And I'm sure if you're looking at just at the monetary amounts given, the U.S. would be at the top, if not number 1. However, in most areas of the world, people rely on each other for survival. So they take on the things that we would take for granted here, like building roads, schools, even farming. Those are all acts of generosity.
And don't you find here that we kind of revert to just writing the checks? We just our schedules are too busy, and it just seems a little bit more impersonal. But I mean, it seems to get the job done. But I feel that if we can get in there with our hands and actually help somebody, we are being blessed to another level that you can't really put a monetary value to, don't you think?
Yeah, so it seems like this report is showing us that some of these smaller countries, ones that you don't necessarily think of as wealthy countries, they're more generous because they're localized and they're helping people right there in need that they see day in and day out, where we're like, oh, we're kind of busy, we're kind of doing other things, let me write a check and help you. So it seems like all these factors have to play a part to be generous.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we want to hear your ideas about generosity. How do you give back to help those in need around you? Send an email to feedback@thehighroadshow.com.
That was a good global connection.
Well, thank you. And wasn't Tammy Trent's story amazing? I highly encourage all of you to get her book, Learning to Breathe Again.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to believe people could survive personal tragedies like Tammy's.
And I really thought you asked a great question and cut the nonsense. Young people really need to find better role models.
Well, we want to hear from you. Please look us up on our website, thehighroadshow.com. And thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again real soon.